Today we're going to be talking about the clash of two horror titans, Freddy vs. Jason, so let's get spooky. Greetings everyone, my name is Nightshade, this is The Night Shift, a home for all things spooky, and today we're looking at Freddy vs. Jason, released in 2003. Now this was one of my highest anticipated childhood movies of all time. So ever since the little teaser that we got at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, where, you know, the Freddy glove comes up and takes the hockey mask, this was one of those films that I always wanted to see. And it was one of those that seemed like it was never going to come to fruition. I mean, you know, whenever you're a kid, time passes slower, so it felt like it took forever for any sort of development of a, you know, Freddy versus Jason movie to ever come to be. You know, my buddy Zach actually was all like, you know, I don't think it's ever gonna happen. I mean, mind you, we are in middle school at this point in time, and just like, you know what, dude, I don't think it's gonna happen. As cool as it would be, I don't think it's gonna be a thing. And I was always one to hold out hope, like, oh no, it's coming. It's coming. Best believe it's coming. We're going to get a Jason versus Freddy movie at some point in time. And then Jason X was released. So, yeah, it seemed like it was never going to arrive. But then, one day, it finally showed up, and I got so pumped about how, like, this was, like, the most ecstatic event in my little childhood life. And, you know, like, especially with all the press that this movie got, you know, like with the weigh-ins, all the magazine covers and articles and like Fangoria and just other magazines that I can't think of the names right now, but, you know, like, there was just so much hype behind this movie, and I was extremely excited. And then one day I went with my buddy Kyle to go see this in the theater. We needed an adult to be able to see this. We were not of age at all at this point in time, but we asked his mom if she would take us to go see it, and we went and checked it out, and the end result, oh, I was so happy with the end result. And usually I get like really nervous to go look at other films that I used to think were really good, and sometimes they transform and, you know, my tastes change, so like sometimes they're not as good as I remember them being. But I'm happy to report that my thoughts on this film pretty much remain the same. What's not to like? It's Freddy versus fucking Jason. You know, I've seen people online, and I've even seen a handful of movie reviews where people just shit on this movie, and it's like, why? This only happens once. Like, I don't think that we're ever gonna get like a sequel to Freddy vs. Jason. I don't think we're gonna get any other like movie mashups the way we got the Freddy vs. Jason. And I mean, these two dominated the 80s. But the story isn't that good. Shut the fuck up. It's Freddy versus Jason. What else could you possibly want? Like, who gives a fuck about the story? I'm not in it for the story. Are you in it for the story? No, I'm here to watch Freddy and Jason fucking duke it out. That's all I wanted to see. I don't care if the story sucks. I don't care if the characters suck. I just want to see two horror titans go at it, which is exactly what I got. And you know, it's even more than I got, like more than I bargained for. This movie is still fun. And, you know, does it have issues? Sure, but like the end result is a fucking fun film. As I said in, you know, the Jason X review, there's a time to be pretentious and artsy with your horror tastes, but like, you know, this is WWE, this is the WCW, this is like wrestling, you know. Like, sure, it's not the highest caliber of entertainment, but people fucking love that shit. And, you know, whenever it comes to Freddy vs. Jason, I love it, and nobody is going to convince me otherwise. I have fun with this movie. This is one of those films, like, I don't care who's talking shit on it, like, it's gonna go in one ear, out the other. I don't give a fuck. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the review. So for this review, I'm gonna be breaking it down into two categories, the positives and the negatives. Let you know what I liked about this film and what I didn't like about this film. Then when we're done with that, I'm gonna be talking about my favorite scene and tell you exactly why it is my favorite scene. And then we're gonna score this out of 10 and end the video. But here on The Night Shift, we always start things off on the bright side with So obviously the concept of two horror titans that were popular in the 80s, like going head to head, I love that. And it honestly makes sense that it is Freddy and Jason, because like, you know, Jason's been killed. He's already in the realm of the supernatural. And you know, obviously Freddy's a dream demon, so that is already steeped in supernatural energy. Like, I don't think it would have worked out with, like, you know, Freddy versus Michael Myers, you know, because he's human-ish in like the up to this point. You know, he was a human character, and he's got some supernatural elements to him, but you know, it's not really blatant. Jason, on the other hand, is, you know, he can teleport, he's a zombie, and so, you know, it makes a little bit more sense. Well, maybe not zombie, but like undead. You get it. You know what I'm talking about. So those two, to me, it makes the most sense, and it's super cool that, you know, we got at least one film. And I mean, we've got plenty of other comic books, you know, what was it, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash from the Evil Dead, you know, and that stuff's cool, but you know, like whenever it comes to the big screen, you know, the concept of two horror icons going head to head is something that is going to hold a place in my spooky little heart. Moving on into our next positive, we have... So this story is actually one that I really enjoy. Freddy has been forgotten, and in order to get his strength back, and in order to bring himself back to life essentially, and gain all of his powers back, he resurrects Jason and haunts his dream and sends him off to Springwood. And Jason obliges because, you know, he saw a vision of his mother, who is actually Freddy Krueger, and so he sets off to Springwood. Then he starts a killing spree, and people start suspecting that it is possibly Freddy Krueger. And in mentioning Freddy Krueger, he starts getting his powers back. But you know, Jason doesn't stop being Jason. Like, just because Freddy's got his powers back, it doesn't mean Jason's gonna stop killing people. That's what he does best. So Jason getting in the way of Freddy's kills is really what brings this to a head, and it's the thing that starts the conflict between the two. Then they get in a fight in the dream world, and then eventually it comes out to the real world, and they just duke it out until there is only one survivor. And you know, honestly, the story is dope, and I think it's the best way that we could have gotten these two together. You know, some of the other ways that they were talking about getting these two together were fucking ridiculous. You know, there was one iteration where there was going to be, you know, a boxing match in hell, and fucking Pinhead was going to be the referee, and they were just going to get it all jumbled up. And I think this is like the most logical way to get these two together and start fighting. So like, to me, it makes sense. And I've seen people, you know, talk shit about this film or try to tear it down or say that the story is awful, and I have to disagree. I think that this is the most logical way of getting these two to fight each other, and this is the best iteration that we could have gotten, because I mean, if you've seen any of the other like propositions that we might have had, they are all quite dumb, and so like, this is the best outcome we could have hoped for. And if you're one of the people that don't like this film because of the story, or just don't like the story in general, sound off in the comments below. What about it grinds your gears? Let me know in the comments below. So moving right along into our next positive, we have... I fucking love this soundtrack. Like, we get Power Man 5000, we get Mushroom Head, we get Slipknot, we get Lamb of God, Bindshake. There's so many good nu metal bands, or, you know, hardcore bands in this lineup, and it's like, oh fuck, it's so good. As a matter of fact, the first time that I ever heard of Lamb of God and also Devil Driver was because of this soundtrack, and this was one that was always playing in my little boombox at home. And yeah, no, like, I've discovered really cool bands through the soundtrack of this movie, and it fucking slaps. We get nu metal, we get horror, we get blood, we get kills, we get Freddy, we get Jason. What is not to love? And you know, I know people hate nu metal, but it is like one of my top 3 subgenres of metal of all time. So like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I love the soundtrack of this, and you know, I played it before starting to record this video. It's such a good soundtrack. But yeah, the soundtrack to this is one that I absolutely love, and I have a lot of thanks to give for this soundtrack, because I wouldn't have discovered half the bands that I listen to this day if it wasn't for Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack. So, you know, soundtrack is definitely going to be on the positives. So up next on my positives list, we have... So we get a lot of really good kills in here, and they're mostly Jason's kills. Like, Jason kind of stole the show as per the story's request. He definitely had to get more kills to get the fire going and start this fight. But yeah, the kills are all pretty solid. My absolute favorite kill in this movie is the folding bed. Capital V capital V bed kill. That is fucking solid. And we also get the Temu version of Jay from Jay and Silent Bob just fucking bisected. And we get a lot of really solid kills like that, and I enjoy them. You know, like, whenever it comes to a slasher flick, the kills are high on my list of priorities to enjoy the slasher film therein. I'm a huge fan of the kills in this one. Like, sure, they might not be the best of the best, but we do get some very solid kills, and they had to go on the positives list for sure. So moving on into my next positive, we have... Robert Englund crushed his portrayal of Freddy Krueger. I mean, obviously, he is Freddy Krueger. His Freddy Krueger is the only Freddy Krueger, honestly. Like, that other shit, you know what I mean? You know, the remake Freddy, that we can pretend it doesn't exist until we get to the Nightmare series on the channel, right? We can pretend it doesn't exist. So right now, Robert Englund is the only fucking Freddy Krueger, and he absolutely crushes it. And Robert Englund's dedication to the character is second to none. You know, he played this up until he physically could not anymore. And, you know, during the filming of this, he was still pretty high up there in age, and he still gave it 110% and just gave the character so much energy. And, you know, hats off to him, because, like, fuck, dude, I loved his portrayal. I also loved his makeup in this, both iterations of the makeup in this. I enjoyed, you know, the baseline Freddy, but I also really loved the angry red Nightmare Freddy. Like, that shit was fucking sick, and I would love to see a movie where he looks like that more. And, you know, I know we've not talked much Freddy on the channel, but I will be remedying that closer to Halloween. We're going to be doing the Nightmare on Elm Street series around Halloween time, maybe like a month or so before October, so stay tuned for that. But, you know, Freddy Krueger is a lot of people's favorite slasher. I know a decent amount of people who say that he's their number one, and, you know, it's easy to see why. Like, he's a fucking beast, and, you know, the only limitation is your imagination whenever it comes to Freddy Krueger and his kills and situations that he could produce. And, you know, so Freddy Krueger, I thought he was awesome in this one, and I really enjoyed it. So, all right, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our next positive, which is... So, I know a lot of people like to shit on this version of Jason, and I get it, I do, but I don't mind him that much. Like, I only really have two gripes about this Jason, and one is that Kane Hodder didn't get to play him, because I feel like up to this point, he is probably the most synonymous with playing Jason, so it really sucks that he wasn't the one that was playing Jason. Tiniest little gripe on this next one is that the hockey mask looks too tall. Like, I wish they would have brought the top part down just a little bit and put the axe mark in it, but, you know, it's a small little detail. It's not one that ruins the movie for me by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, the overall character design isn't bad. I think it's not the worst, for sure. And I think the portrayal of Jason as a character is, you know, it's all right. And, you know, I know a lot of people have hate for this version of Jason, and I can see where you're coming from. I get it. I understand. But for me, I think it's fine. Like, is this Jason the best? No, absolutely not. He's actually pretty low on my list of Jason portrayals. But every actor that has ever portrayed Jason has done a solid job. Like, I think this one is more akin to part 3 and part 6. Like, if you were to take part 3 and part 6, mash them together, boom, that's what you got. This is the Jason that you would get. But, you know, like, I think he does great in the kill sequences, and I really enjoyed him in the fight sequences. And speaking of fight sequences, let's go ahead and move on to our next positive, which is... So I love the fights in this film. I think they were done really well. I especially love the fact that we get fights in both worlds, both the dream world and the real world, which is where both of our respective slashers reside. We get the first fight in the dream world where, you know, Freddy, you know, he dominates there. So obviously he's going to win that round. Like there was no second guessing that. And then, you know, we get our second fight in the real world, and I just think that Jason manhandles Freddy quite well. But you know, Freddy holds his own. I enjoyed the tie up between the two, and like they were pretty well evenly matched throughout the majority of this film, which I do like. I like that there wasn't too much of an overpowering aspect to it. Like, I like that, you know, human Freddy at this point in time was still able to hold his own against a behemoth ass Jason, because, you know, this Jason was tall as fuck. My thoughts on like the fights here is much like you know, somebody telling a wrestling fan that, like, you know, it's fake, right? I know, but I don't fucking care. I enjoy it, so don't take my joy from me. It's much the same as that. So like for me, like it's dumb fun, and I have a great time watching this, and I love the fucking fight sequences in this film. And you know, I like that they get really, really bloody, and, you know, like fucking blood is spraying everywhere, and it's just fucking awesome. It's so fun. Every fight in this film definitely had to go on my positives list, because it's too much fun. It's a fun fucking fight sequence. Is it dumb? Yes. But is it fun? Yes. So, you know, it's not mutually exclusive. But in my book, this is not a perfect movie. So let's go ahead and move into the not so bright side of things with... You know, early 2000s CGI does not hold up the best. And, you know, like back in the day, I'm sure I thought that it was all right. Like it was fine. It was passable for the time. But whenever you watch this movie back retrospectively, especially if you're watching on a 4K TV, 4K really highlights the fact that this is fake as fuck blood. The CGI in this is just a mess. It's not good. This is one that could benefit from, like, you know, like the Star Wars update, whenever they went back and added more CGI to the original Star Wars film. This is a film that could actually benefit from, you know, some new CG added to the film to make it look a little bit better, especially with the Freddy pillar. Like, the concept of the Freddy pillar is awesome, but I would love a more updated version of it, like with better graphics. I think like this movie could definitely benefit from just being updated in the CGI department, because it does not hold up. It does not hold up well at all. No. And, you know, there's CGI blood and just a bunch of different CGI shit. Like, they do still use practical effects in this, which huge fan of. But, like, whenever they had to use CGI, it doesn't look the best. It really does not. So, unfortunately, that's going to have to go on my negatives list for sure, because... ugh. Now, moving right along into my next negative, we have... So we get a lot of cringeworthy dialogue scattered throughout this film, and it really takes me out of the movie.
He killed my mother, Will. It was Freddy. My dad covered it up to protect me. He didn't do it. Look, he has taken everything from us. He has ruined both of our pasts. and I am not leaving until I see him die.
And the sad fact of the matter is that this is like the best dialogue to pick from, because it was so much worse in like the deleted scenes. There's a lot more cringy dialogue to be had.
Freddy versus Jason. Place your bets.
Thankfully, you know, we a lot of the really truly bad, awful stuff has been removed, but there's still some bad dialogue in this, and it's very clunky. You know, I just now realized I didn't add this to the positives list, so I'll say it here. I think this was a really well-paced movie as well. You know, sometimes in order to make a good paced movie, you do have to drop some exposition and do some exposition dumps. And unfortunately, whenever you do stuff like that to help cut corners to get the movie moving, unfortunately, some of the exposition dumps are just a little much and a little too on the nose.
Makes sense in a way. I mean, what if Freddy brought Jason back because he was too weak to go after us on his own, so he used Jason? I mean, he knew that we'd think it was him, that we'd spread the fear again, and now that it's working, it's like he can't shut Jason back down.
Like, particularly whenever they're like trying to formulate a plan, and Will actually just kind of figures out the whole plot right then and there. It's the dialogue is clunky in that regard, and then, you know, Jason died by water, Freddy by fire. How can we use that? It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, shut the fuck up. You know, like, the dialogue's bad, but it could have been worse. Like the Freddy versus Jason, place your bets. Like that, I would have left the theater. So, you know, like, sure, the dialogue's bad, but it could have been so much worse. So there's a bright side. There's a silver lining to this negative. So, you know, take that how you will. So, yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to my final negative, and that's going to be... Suddenly, Jason is afraid of water. What? Like, even in this film, Jason walks in water, and it doesn't bother him, but somebody somewhere decided that this should be a thing, and that person needs to be fired immediately.
Oh, so you are afraid of something after all, huh?
I even remember back when I was a kid seeing this in theaters with my buddy Kyle and looking at him and being like, what the fuck? Like, it's a dumb decision. It's a dumb decision. We've seen throughout the entire franchise of Friday the 13th, Jason goes in the water all the fucking time. He's gotten a handful of water kills, like in, you know, part 4, whenever he kills the chick through the raft, or, you know, he swam to get to a boat in Jason Takes Manhattan, and also swam from that boat to get to Manhattan. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Whose decision was this, and why did they make it? Like, it's fucking dumb. Like, out of this entire movie, that little plot thread in this film doesn't work for me. I think, like, it's bad. It's dumb. It's stupid. It's one that I could never forgive, because it's just that dumb. Like, you know what I mean? I understand that, you know, Freddy has to exploit a fear, but I think he really should have focused that more on his mother. Like, you know, he could have been, he could have transformed himself into Pamela and, you know, started scolding Jason and shit like that. That would have been better than water. Little Jason boy scared of that high quality H2O, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's probably honestly my biggest gripe with this film, is just that little point that they made, and it's just dumb. I don't like it. All in all, you know, I don't really have a whole lot of negative things to say about this film, because it's one that I really, really enjoy. You know, this is like the biggest thing up to that point in my childhood life, that I just was like so fucking stoked that I finally got my Freddy versus Jason movie. Like, fuck. You know, crossovers back in the day, that wasn't really a thing. So like it was really exciting at the time, and you know, it's still exciting now. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I can't believe we got that, you know, like I don't see any horror icons doing much of that in the future or currently. Like, that's not really going to be a thing. So the fact that we got one, and this is the one that we got, I'm happy with it. I walked away from this film satisfied, and then, you know, rewatching it, I'm like, I'm glad that Freddy vs. Jason exists, and I'm glad that, you know, they finally made it happen. You know, it only took 10 fucking years to make it happen, but I'm glad that they did. And I'm still happy with the end result of that film. Now that the review is out of the way, let's go ahead and move into the next segment, which is my favorite scene in this is when fucking Freddy is pulled out of the dream world and the fight begins.
Die, little bitch.
You know, I love the realization on his face, like, oh shit, you know, he turns around and Jason is just aura farming like a motherfucker. You know, there's fire all around him, and it's just like, oh shit, it's about to go down. Like, I just got goosebumps thinking about it, because that is like a badass moment in history whenever it comes to horror, because fuck, dude, it was so cool. And then they stand like this and then just go at each other, and it gets me so pumped. And like, I'm getting hype right now just thinking about it, because it's so fucking cool. The fucking movie just gets me pumped. I fucking love horror, because like, Jesus Christ, you know, like, it's not the same as like a Marvel movie or fucking any other action flick or fight movie. Like, this is, it's just awesome. I love it. I love Freddy vs. Jason with all of my heart, and I will apologize to nobody for that. So let's go ahead and score the movie. When it comes to Freddy vs. Jason, I'm going to give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. You know what? No. Let's go ahead and give that an 8 out of 10, because my enjoyment for this film is through the roof still to this day. Is it the best horror movie that ever existed? No. Is it the best Jason movie that ever existed? No. Is it the best Freddy movie that ever existed? No. But it's one that I fucking enjoy, because it's never gonna happen again. We will probably never have this happen again. Like, we will never see a really cool crossover like this. And, you know, so the fact that we got one is a fucking dub in my book. So that's just gonna about do it for me. If you like the video, let me know by leaving me a like. Comment down below what you want to see on the channel next. I will do my best to accommodate. I really will. And until next time, my name is Nightshade. This has been The Night Shift, and I will see you in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends.